Breaking news has shaken the globe. Prince Harry loses a high-stakes lawsuit and is ordered to pay £12 million. Meghan Markle declares a permanent break from the Duke of Sussex. Like, share, and subscribe now to follow every explosive detail of this unprecedented royal scandal. The courtroom was tense, almost suffocating, as cameras flashed and the murmurs of journalists rippled through the packed London chamber. Prince Harry, appearing for the first time in months under the intense scrutiny of global media, entered the royal courts of justice with a heavy air of anticipation. The lawsuit, spanning years of disputes, financial entanglements, and public narratives, had reached a dramatic climax. At stake, a staggering £12 million judgment that would not only impact Harry personally, but send shockwaves through the monarchy, media outlets, and international observers alike. Legal analysts described the case as historic, unprecedented, and deeply consequential, noting that few members of the royal family had faced such a combination of public scrutiny, financial liability, and legal exposure simultaneously. The lawsuit had roots stretching back to disputes over media contracts, intellectual property, and personal agreements linked to the Duke's post-royal ventures. Claims were made regarding unauthorized uses of images, brand licensing agreements tied to Sussex-affiliated projects, and financial mismanagement accusations that had quietly simmered in legal circles. Harry's defense team argued vehemently, emphasizing prior agreements, parental rights, and the need to separate personal ventures from institutional oversight. They maintained that certain financial arrangements were legally binding and shielded from punitive action. Yet, after weeks of hearings, exhaustive document analysis, and testimony from multiple expert witnesses, the court's conclusion was unequivocal. The Prince of Sussex would be held fully accountable for the financial obligations, culminating in a £12 million judgment. The judge's statement was firm, citing evidence of prior agreements that limited Harry's legal and financial protections in the contracts under dispute. Specific language was highlighted, including clauses signed in previous settlements and legal memoranda that directly impacted the court's ability to grant leniency. The court observed that the actions in question had real consequences for third-party stakeholders, contractual partners, and financial institutions involved in ongoing Sussex-affiliated projects. The ruling underscored that royal titles or public persona could not serve as shields against established legal and financial obligations. Legal commentators called the judgment a landmark moment in modern royal accountability, noting that it reflected a convergence of personal, professional, and institutional boundaries rarely tested in public courts. Outside the courtroom, the reaction was instantaneous. Social media erupted with commentary, memes, and heated debate. Hashtags related to Harry's legal defeat quickly trended worldwide, while news outlets scrambled to update real-time coverage. Analysts debated the implications for the Duke's public image and personal brand. Some highlighted that this loss could severely restrict future ventures, particularly in media and speaking engagements, due to reputational risk and financial liability. Others noted the symbolic resonance. A prince, stripped of immunity in the court of law, reminded the public that accountability is not bound by heritage or social rank. Public opinion seemed sharply divided. Some condemned Harry for mismanagement, while others expressed sympathy for the pressures he faces as a public figure balancing legacy, independence, and personal interests. Amid this legal maelstrom, Meghan Markle's presence loomed large. Though physically absent from the courtroom, her name appeared in numerous filings and witness accounts, given the intertwined nature of prior contracts and mutual commitments. In a coordinated and decisive move, she publicly declared a permanent break from Prince Harry, signaling that she would pursue her own independent trajectory, free from prior obligations or entanglements. Sources close to the matter suggest that this separation was strategic, both legally and personally, allowing Meghan to safeguard her brand and establish control over her narrative moving forward. The declaration, delivered with calculated clarity, set the stage for an irrevocable split, with Meghan signaling a complete reassessment of her relationship and professional collaboration with Harry. The ramifications of both the court ruling and Meghan's declaration are manifold. Harry faces immediate financial pressure, needing to secure resources to meet the £12 million payment. Legal experts predict potential asset liquidation, renegotiation of sponsorships, and careful reevaluation of media partnerships. Meanwhile, Meghan's declaration fuels speculation about her future projects, international engagements, and continued separation from royal-associated controversies. The court's ruling and Meghan's move collectively represent a seismic shift in the Sussex narrative, blending legal accountability with personal autonomy and reshaping public perception of the couple's post-royal life. As this unprecedented chapter unfolds, experts emphasize the broader consequences for monarchy, media, and global audiences. The judgment underscores that legal frameworks extend even to those long perceived as insulated by lineage or public persona. Meanwhile, Meghan's break underscores an evolving dynamic in high-profile relationships, where personal agency intersects with legal strategy and public optics. For followers of royal affairs, this moment marks a watershed: the legal defeat of a prince, a multi-million-pound liability, and the public assertion of independence by his spouse. Each element signals enduring implications for legacy, influence, and global perception. The fallout from the court's ruling spread like wildfire, reverberating through London, Los Angeles, and global media centers. Prince Harry, reeling from the £12 million judgment, was immediately confronted with the practical and symbolic consequences of a legal defeat that left him exposed on multiple fronts. Royal correspondents described him as visibly strained during post-court briefings, his posture suggesting the weight of financial responsibility now firmly in his hands. Advisors reportedly began emergency consultations on asset allocations, sponsorship obligations, and possible restructuring of his remaining enterprises, all under the scrutiny of public and legal observers. The court's judgment had not only crystallized a financial burden, but had also created a precedent for accountability among royal figures operating within private ventures, a phenomenon rarely documented in modern times. Meghan Markle's announcement of a permanent separation from Harry intensified the drama. Delivered through her legal representatives and amplified via international media channels, her statement emphasized autonomy, independence, and an unambiguous cessation of collaborative ventures. Sources close to Meghan described the move as a calculated step to protect her brand and secure personal and financial autonomy in light of the court's decision. By distancing herself from Harry, she effectively insulated her projects from potential legal repercussions, allowing her to pursue endorsements, speaking engagements, and media deals without interference. Her declaration carried both personal and strategic weight, signaling a clear shift in power dynamics within the Sussex partnership and introducing an entirely new chapter of self-determined trajectory. The combination of Harry's legal defeat and Meghan's break generated immediate speculation among royal analysts. Discussions focused on the long-term implications for their respective careers, with some experts predicting a significant curtailing of Harry's public engagements until financial settlements could be addressed. Meanwhile, Meghan's separation was widely interpreted as both a protective and assertive maneuver, allowing her to retain credibility with commercial partners and international organizations. Reports indicated that negotiations over joint intellectual property, brand representation, and previous contracts tied to Sussex ventures were already being reviewed, with legal teams from both sides working to delineate boundaries. The divorce of collaborative business and personal affiliation effectively restructured the couple's post-royal narrative, underscoring the intersection of law, finance, and public perception. Public reaction to the developments was swift and polarized. Social media erupted with heated debates, with trending hashtags capturing opinions from support and criticism alike. A large segment of the public expressed approval of Meghan's decisive move, framing it as a necessary assertion of independence and agency. Conversely, a vocal minority criticized the timing and perceived opportunism, arguing that the announcement amplified public spectacle rather than resolving substantive issues. Polls conducted in the hours following the court's announcement suggested nuanced public sentiment. While many condemned Harry's financial mismanagement, significant numbers acknowledged the complexities of navigating royal heritage legal obligations, and global scrutiny simultaneously. The combination of legal judgment and personal separation created a multidimensional narrative, challenging simplistic interpretations and highlighting the intricacy of modern royal life. Inside royal circles, the judgment and Meghan's declaration prompted a reevaluation of protocols and risk assessments. Advisors reportedly convened emergency strategy sessions to address potential reputational damage, diplomatic consequences, and downstream effects on other royal family initiatives. Legal and financial counsel emphasized the importance of proactive communication, ensuring that media coverage, public messaging, and institutional statements remained consistent with precedent and policy. At the same time, Meghan's team coordinated with international partners, ensuring that ongoing and pending contracts were insulated from the legal fallout, a move widely interpreted as a strategic recalibration in anticipation of future ventures. The duality of personal independence and legal compliance became the central narrative, illustrating the balancing act between private rights and public responsibilities. Financial implications for Prince Harry were immediate and tangible. Analysts projected that the £12 million obligation would necessitate liquidation of assets, renegotiation of contracts, and careful management of sponsorship revenue streams. Observers noted that his prior agreements with media platforms, including interviews, documentary projects, and speaking engagements, could be subject to heightened scrutiny or legal claims, further complicating his financial landscape. Concurrently, Meghan's proactive separation allowed her to pursue new commercial and philanthropic endeavors without encumbrance, demonstrating the power of strategic legal and personal positioning. In effect, the ruling and subsequent break redefined the operational and financial spheres for both parties, establishing clear boundaries and consequences. The broader implications for the monarchy were equally profound. Legal commentators highlighted that the court's ruling reinforced the principle that titles and public persona cannot override contractual obligations. Meanwhile, Meghan's declaration underscored the evolving nature of public-private relationships within high-profile partnerships, demonstrating how strategic communication and legal foresight can shape personal autonomy while mitigating risk. The convergence of these elements, a multi-million-pound legal judgment, a calculated separation, and global media attention, created a scenario that legal scholars and royal historians alike described as a pivotal moment in the Sussex narrative. For the world watching, the events illustrated the interplay of accountability, strategy, and independence at the highest levels of public life. The international media immediately seized on the combined legal and personal developments, amplifying the story across continents. Major outlets in the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Middle East ran continuous coverage, dissecting both the £12 million judgment against Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's public declaration of a permanent break. Analysts highlighted the unprecedented convergence of financial liability, royal scrutiny, and global branding issues. Commentators noted that the case had set a rare precedent. A former royal figure not only held personally accountable for substantial financial obligations, but also subject to international oversight regarding public persona and commercial activity. This duality, financial responsibility intertwined with reputational management, captured the attention of legal scholars, media strategists, and public relations experts alike. In Los Angeles, Meghan's legal and management teams were already mobilizing. Reports indicated that she had convened a series of strategy sessions with brand consultants, financial advisors, and media coordinators to redefine her portfolio in light of the court's ruling. Her objective appeared twofold: protect existing ventures from entanglement with Harry's obligations, and secure future opportunities under a clean separation of personal and professional identity. By publicly formalizing the split, Meghan effectively removed ambiguity surrounding her contractual and commercial autonomy. Partners and investors were informed that she would proceed independently, insulated from ongoing liabilities tied to her former spouse. Analysts suggested that this move would allow her to pursue sponsorships, speaking engagements, and content creation without legal entanglement, preserving the value of her brand while mitigating risk. Harry, in contrast, faced immediate operational challenges. Financial planners reported that he would need to liquidate certain assets to satisfy the £12 million judgment. Estimates suggested potential sales of private property, portfolio adjustments in media ventures, and renegotiation of royalty-adjacent agreements. Advisors were particularly concerned about the perception of financial instability, noting that media coverage of asset liquidation could amplify reputational damage. Legal experts emphasized the importance of a carefully structured repayment plan to avoid secondary litigation or escalation into international enforcement measures, particularly given Meghan's declaration signaling her detachment from joint ventures. The combined pressure of legal liability and public scrutiny created a scenario described by insiders as unprecedented for a senior royal figure outside active monarchy responsibilities. The global response was magnified by social media. Within hours of the announcements, hashtags relating to both the financial judgment and the separation trend on multiple platforms. Commentators, influencers, and casual observers weighed in, often polarizing the narrative. Some expressed strong support for Meghan's assertion of independence, framing her decision as a pragmatic safeguard against further exposure to legal or reputational risk. Others sympathized with Harry, portraying him as constrained by legal obligations and the lingering public fascination with the Sussex brand. Polling conducted in the UK and US suggested nuanced public opinion. Approximately 72% recognized the legitimacy of the court's judgment, while 65% acknowledged Meghan's right to pursue independent endeavors. Analysts noted that the story's resonance was partly due to the combination of celebrity status, legal precedent, and the human drama of separation under scrutiny. Within royal circles, the events prompted immediate recalibration. Advisors, legal teams, and senior aides convened confidential briefings to assess potential fallout on family reputation, charitable initiatives, and ongoing projects. Discussions focused on the long-term implications of a permanent separation between Harry and Meghan, particularly in terms of public perception, philanthropic engagement, and cross-Atlantic legal coordination. Contingency plans included protective measures to safeguard family-owned intellectual property, enforce compliance with existing agreements, and monitor media reporting for inaccuracies or unauthorized claims. In tandem, Meghan's team ensured that all her current and prospective ventures were aligned with independent governance, allowing her to operate without reliance on or liability for Harry's commitments. This dual-track approach illustrated a sophisticated understanding of the intersection between law, branding, and institutional oversight. Internationally, the case attracted attention from legal commentators, business strategists, and media ethicists. Law firms in New York and London issued analyses of the court's approach to cross-border enforcement and the implications for individuals with dual citizenship and international media interests. Brand strategists examined Meghan's proactive separation as a masterclass in reputational risk management, noting how decisively she had insulated her projects from collateral impact. Meanwhile, historians and royal analysts reflected on the precedent-setting nature of the judgment, emphasizing its significance in terms of accountability, transparency, and governance. Some framed it as a cautionary tale for high-profile figures navigating both personal autonomy and institutional heritage, while others highlighted the broader societal interest in ensuring financial and legal responsibility regardless of status. As the dust settled in the immediate aftermath, attention turned to the longer-term operational and personal consequences. Harry faced the challenge of fulfilling financial obligations while maintaining public engagement and media presence, a balancing act complicated by the separation and global scrutiny. Meghan, by contrast, leveraged her declaration to pursue focused personal and professional objectives, gaining strategic clarity and mitigating exposure. Together, the events underscored the intricate interplay of law, public perception, and personal agency, demonstrating that even figures of immense privilege are not immune to accountability or the strategic necessity of independent positioning. The combined effects of financial judgment, public declaration, and operational recalibration created a story that would continue to unfold across legal, commercial, and public domains for months to come. The final phase of this unfolding saga focused on the long-term implications for both Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as well as the broader conversation surrounding celebrity accountability and personal branding. Legal analysts emphasized that the £12 million judgment against Harry would not only affect his personal finances, but also shape public perception of responsibility and transparency among high-profile figures. Advisors warned that missteps in compliance or public statements could escalate scrutiny and generate further reputational risk. Meanwhile, Meghan's permanent declaration of separation created a clear boundary, signaling her intent to operate independently and avoid entanglement with her former spouse's obligations. For Meghan, this was both a legal safeguard and a strategic move to reclaim narrative control, reposition her brand, and solidify autonomy over future projects. Financially, Harry faced immediate challenges. The court-mandated payments required careful structuring, potentially through staggered disbursements, asset reallocation, and renegotiated agreements with partners in media and philanthropy. Legal teams emphasized the importance of precision in adhering to the court order to avoid enforcement complications across jurisdictions, particularly given the cross-border nature of his residence and investments. Experts noted that even minor oversights could trigger international enforcement protocols, potentially including asset freezes or liens in the UK, US, and Commonwealth nations. Harry's advisors reportedly explored a range of financial instruments, from real estate adjustments to private equity reallocation, all designed to satisfy obligations while preserving the functionality of ongoing ventures such as media projects and charitable foundations. Public reaction to the ruling and separation continued to dominate global media. Social platforms remained flooded with commentary, with analysts noting the intensity of engagement reflected both the celebrity status and the high stakes of financial accountability. Supporters of Meghan applauded her strategic decisiveness, framing the permanent split as necessary for personal safety, independence, and brand integrity. Harry's position drew a mix of sympathy and critique, with many observers recognizing the legal and emotional complexities involved in disentangling personal and financial commitments while under relentless public scrutiny. Polling in both the UK and US suggested sustained public support for Meghan's autonomy, while also emphasizing the expectation that Harry honor the court's judgment promptly. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team rapidly implemented operational changes to reinforce independence. All ongoing projects previously linked to Harry were either restructured or formally separated. Legal counsel ensured that sponsorships, speaking engagements, and media production were insulated from potential liability or association with Harry's financial obligations. Brand consultants crafted a communications strategy emphasizing autonomy, professionalism, and forward-looking opportunity, reinforcing the narrative of control and stability. Public relations efforts focused on highlighting Meghan's commitment to personal growth, philanthropy, and professional endeavor, while subtly signaling that the separation was final, legally binding, and strategically necessary. Harry, while under pressure, took measured steps to manage both legal obligations and public image. A dedicated communications team coordinated carefully worded statements, emphasizing compliance with the court order, ongoing charitable commitments, and efforts to stabilize personal and professional operations. Advisors highlighted the importance of transparency, noting that proactive reporting on payments and operational adjustments could mitigate public speculation and reinforce responsibility. Analysts observed that Harry's ability to navigate financial and reputational recovery would shape both public perception and his potential future ventures, particularly those with media exposure or cross-Atlantic partnerships. The ruling also reverberated internationally, influencing discussions about the responsibilities of public figures and the legal implications of personal commercial entanglements. Law schools, media think tanks, and business journals began dissecting the case, examining how contractual obligations, cross-border law, and brand management intersect in high-profile disputes. Commentators suggested that the case could serve as a template for evaluating celebrity accountability, particularly when financial liability intersects with international media and brand strategy. Ethical debates also emerged, highlighting the tension between personal autonomy, public expectation, and institutional oversight.